On. Boom, recording in progress. How's it going, guys?
It's good, chilling.
Okay, can you see me crystal clear? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yep.
And
All right, cool. All right, so let me just get prepared really quickly here, and we are gonna jump right into it. So in this course, we are gonna give you guys the fundamentals of starting an assignment contract business, an assignment business, I should say. And that's pretty much a fancy way of saying wholesaling. So I'm gonna run through the presentation. I'm going to answer all the questions you guys have towards the end. So I encourage you guys to take general notes, and I also encourage you guys to take any notes on any questions that you have. So like that, you know, I can answer them to the best of my ability toward the end. So I'm going to share my screen right here real quickly. And if you guys can tell me whether or not you can see it clearly.
Yep, it's up there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. So we're going to jump right into it. So yeah, as mentioned, this course is pretty much how to build an assignment business 101, and it's the fundamentals of wholesaling real estate. So let's jump right into it. A lot of people want to know, what is wholesaling? Wholesaling is very simple. It's the act of assigning your equitable interest in a contract to another investor. Let me try to minimize this side right here. Okay. So anyway, pretty much simplified, assigning a contract is as follows. Jose, wholesaler, meets a seller, right? Seller of 123 Main Street, and puts the property under a purchase and sales agreement. After he puts the property under a purchase and sale agreement, he assigns his equitable interest in that contract to another investor for a fee. Again, it's that simple. It's putting the property under contract and assigning that contract to another investor for a fee. Now, I'm going to give you a real life example, and this will be a little verbatim, so that you guys can get the full scope of what's going on. So Jose does some marketing and meets Dave. Dave is the seller of 123 Main Street. After looking at the property and having a long conversation with Dave, Jose agrees to pay Dave $100,000 for his property. Although Jose knows the property is worth $200,000 after the repairs, Jose and Dave agree the home needs a full rehab, so they both move forward with the contract at a $100,000 purchase price. So Jose begins his due diligence, which is pretty much walking the property with contractors so that they can give him quotes on the rehab, as well as walking the property with cash buyers in case the property no longer meets his flipping criteria. So pretty much he's putting it under contract, and after he puts it under contract, he walks contractors as well as other buyers in case, you know, he sees something that he doesn't want to take on himself during the flip. So after Jose does his due diligence, he realizes the property no longer meets his criteria. So instead of buying the property directly from Dave, Jose decides to assign his equitable interest in the original purchase agreement to a different investor for a fee, which is Joe. So Joe agrees. Joe sees it. Joe likes it. Joe, you know, he's excited. He knows it's worth $200,000. So Jose signs an assignment of contract with Joe because, of course, Joe's interested, and Joe agrees to pay $120,000 for the property. The reason he agrees to pay $120,000 is because he knows it's worth $200,000, and he can make those repairs rather inexpensively. You know, he's like, oh, well, okay, Jose is worth $200,000. I could repair this for $12,000. Yeah, I'll pay you $120,000 for it. So after Joe's excited and agrees to pay 120, we're gonna give him an assignment contract. And on that assignment contract, Joe is gonna agree to pay the $100,000 purchase price and an additional $20,000 as an assignment fee to Jose's company, totaling the $120,000 that he originally agreed to. So after, after talking to Joe, him understanding the process, he's comfortable with doing that. So, we move along, he gives his deposit, whatever. We move along and we take the original purchase agreement that reflects the $100,000, as well as the assignment contract that reflects the $20,000 assignment fee. We'll take those to the title company, and then the title company will facilitate that transaction. And on the day of closing, Joe is going to purchase the property from Dave for that $100,000, and Jose will receive his $20,000 assignment fee. Again, totaling that $120,000 purchase price to Joe. Now, a lot of people, they hear of wholesaling. There's a lot of, YouTube videos claiming that, you can get in this with no money, blah, blah. It excites a lot of people. But the truth is, in this business, there are a lot of moving parts. And if you want to create an assignment business, you're going to have to assign people different tasks in order for it to be scalable. Now, what winds up happening with new wholesalers is they play all of these positions, and then once they get the deal under contract, they're spending so much time trying to disposition the deal and find that Joe, that ultimately they only get 1 or 2 deals done a month, and then they kind of give up or they burn out. But in reality, there's a business structure to creating this business that should be followed. And it's not a new business structure. It's what all the big time wholesalers also do. And, the truth is, a lot of folks who are doing really good, they don't really share this information because a lot of them have that scarcity mindset where they think that the more information you give other people, that means the less that they're going to have. Here in this course, which is invite only, we have an abundant mindset where where in our mentality, there's more than enough to go around. There's more houses than actual people. That's something I like to see. And pretty much we give the game, we give the information, and we actually help more people similar to us because we started exactly where you guys started. So moving forward, the positions needed to create a successful assignment business. I like saying assignment because it makes it sound a lot more professional, and the word wholesaling has kind of negative connotations behind it. So I like saying assignments because really that's what we're doing. And there's plenty of, not to sidetrack, but there's plenty of other companies, other businesses that do assignments. There's mortgage companies that assign your mortgage to other mortgage companies. There's credit companies that assign your credit card debt. So assignments are here to stay. They're never going away. And if the big guys can do it, the little guys can do it also. So anyways, in order to create a successful wholesaling / assignment business, you need a couple of moving parts to do a couple of different things. And in this course, in the following weeks, we're going to be breaking down each part of these positions. So you're going to have your CEO, which is ultimately yourself. And ultimately, your goal for being the CEO is going to be to work on the business as opposed to in the business, which means you're going to be managing all of these different positions under you. So you have your CEO, you have your marketing manager, you have your lead manager, you have your acquisitions manager, and then you're going to have your dispositions manager. So it'll be yourself and then 4 other people on your team that are in charge of doing certain things. and, you'll compensate them. And, moving forward in the course, we're going to teach how we do it so that you guys can do it also. Ultimately, in this business, you need to look at these different positions like an assembly line. The same way McDonald's has a system and a process to go from ordering at the drive-through to making the burger, to taking the payment, to giving you your burger, is the same way we have to create our assignment business, where it's going to filter through certain people in order to get it to the finish line. And this is the way, and one of the only ways, that you'll be able to scale your assignment business. The first person, and again, in the future and future modules, future courses, we'll be speaking exactly what they do line by line, what to look for, what not to look for. So the first person that you're gonna want on your team is a marketing manager. And the marketing manager, pretty much their job is getting the phone to ring. They're the ones that are going to do all the marketing via all these different marketing channels to actually get those leads to start hitting your phone. There's a bunch of different marketing channels, and they're the ones that are going to be in charge of setting up those channels to get your phone to ring. So just as a quick example, there's, ringless voicemails, there's SMSs, which is blasting out text messages. There's bandit signs that you can put on the street, the "We Buy Houses" signs. There's all these different ways to market, including cold calling and stuff like that, that are able to generate leads. And that's what your marketing manager is in charge of doing. After that marketing manager generates all the leads are going to funnel into the lead manager first. And the lead manager is going to do exactly that. They're going to manage leads. The lead manager is very important, very, very important, because what they're going to do is they're going to qualify all of the leads to make sure you're not wasting your time. The lead manager has to be knowledgeable enough to speak to a lead, to get the price out of them, to get the condition out of them, their timeline to sell, who the decision makers are. And again, we'll go through all of this in future modules. And they need to know that, okay, this is a solid lead. This is a lead that we can close on, and it meets all the criteria for our business. Once that lead manager pre-qualifies the lead and gets the price and make sure it's a smoking hot deal, the lead manager is going to filter that lead to the acquisitions manager. Now, the acquisitions manager, they're also just as important as the lead manager, because the acquisition manager, essentially, he or she is going to be in charge of getting the purchase and sale agreement signed. What the acquisition manager does is they call the lead and they verify all of the notes that the lead manager took. And not only that, but they're going to build a really good rapport with the lead. They're going to ask them about their family, their occupation, what they do for recreation. They're going to ask them about future dreams. They're going to be the best salesperson in order to build that rapport with that lead, so that lead could sign that contract. So once the acquisition manager gets the contract signed and pre-qualifies again and does everything that they got to do, we have a deal locked in, it's go time. So the acquisitions manager, they got the contract signed, they're hyped up, we're one step closer to a payday, and then the lead is going to funnel down into the dispositions manager. Now, the dispositions manager is just as important as everyone else, because they're going to be in charge of actually getting that deal moved. They're going to be in charge of finding the cash buyer to purchase the property. They're going to be in contact with the title company to facilitate that transaction. And they're pretty much going to be the ones that negotiate the assignment fee, because they're the last point of contact. So dispositions is really important because they'll get the deal signed. And there's different methods that you can use for dispositions. The best one right now that we're finding is having our disposition manager put it on Facebook Marketplace, host an open house, show up to the open house, show the property, negotiate the fee. And in this market today, we're getting a lot of offers for these properties. The dispositions manager, they're also in charge of going out, taking the pictures of the property, putting the logbox on the property, and doing all of the grunt work outside. So you can see why you need all these different positions to actually make this business scalable and be able to do maybe 2 or 3 deals per month, because there's so much that goes into it just based on one contract. So as long as you have your systems and your processes in place, and eventually you have these people in place, you'll be able to make it scalable. Now, in the beginning, you know, I hate to break it to you guys, but it's necessary that you play all of these positions, because you can't find somebody to play a position if you don't know 100% of the position first. A lot of people in wholesaling, they give up because it's a lot of work that goes into it. But the more work you do and the more you master these positions and then eventually put people in those places, the more rewarding it will become for yourself. And I'm guilty of it also, where, you know, I've built teams before and things don't work out because, you know, I'm spending a lot more money than I'm making because I'm not hiring correctly. And then I have to dissolve the team and start all over. But thank God, you know, glory be to God. Everything in our business is going really well now. And, you know, I'm not sitting here claiming that I'm making $1 million a year, but I am making well over 6 figures, and my partners are well over 6 figures, close to $250,000 a year. And, you know, it's because we put these systems in place that we'll show you. Pretty much, you know, you're hearing all of this information and you're asking yourself, excuse me, you're asking yourself, okay, so where should I start? You know, it sounds like a lot, but, you know, where do I start? In my opinion, I think the first step would be, you can do the assignments under your personal name, but I think the first step should be creating your LLC. You know, when you create your LLC, it shows, you know, the cash buyers along with the sellers that you're a serious business. You know, creating your LLC, you can hire an attorney that'll teach you exactly how to assign the properties properly, specific to your state. Because full disclosure, I'm not an attorney. I can't tell you what to do or what not to do, but I can tell you that the first thing you should do is speak to an attorney to tell you how to do this properly, because there's certain states that allow certain things and other states that allow different things. So that's where you want to start. You want to be able to start your business LLC so people could take you serious, so that you can brand yourself, and so that you can have an attorney on your side to teach you how to do it properly. Here in this market, you guys have me, and I can forward you my resources. And of course, you know, you guys will get hit the ground running. But there's other people who are going to be watching this where it's important for them to know that in order for them to cover their behinds. Always treat it like a business, be serious, and, you know, get yourself a great attorney that will be able to guide you. The second thing that I would do in the very beginning is I would build out my cash buyers network, right? You need to find out who has the money and who doesn't. You need to know who are the investor-friendly real estate agents. You need to know who the property managers are. You got to go to these networking events. You know, when you're, you know, online, Facebook, you know, creep on certain pages, who's buying what, get plugged into the Bigger Pockets web forums, you know, and just, you know, talk to people, because that's how you're going to be able to build out your cash buyer network. Now, if you don't have a big cash buyer network, I would argue that it's important for you to at least know other people who have a large cash buyer network. Because when you find that deal, if you don't have a direct cash buyer, you can always pay a real estate agent or a property manager or someone else to actually bring you that cash buyer. So I saw somebody else just came in, what's really good. We're kind of wrapping up, but we're gonna have questions towards the end. And I'm also recording this so I can send you guys the live recordings when it's finished. Another step, very important, is to identify the different title companies that are wholesaler friendly and, you know, stick to their process. So what you want to do is you want to ask other people in the networking events, hey, what title company do you use? Who's getting this done for you guys? They'll tell you, you make that call, you show up in person and you ask questions, right? So you just ask them like, hey, I see you guys are killing it with the investors, you know, what's your process? And they'll tell you their process. And what you want to do is you want to stick to their process because they're going to want it done a certain way where, just to give you perspective, the title companies usually have an in-house attorney. The one I use, the one who owns the title company is the attorney, and you'll knock two birds with one stone. You'll have your real estate attorney and you'll have the title company that'll be able to facilitate these transactions with you. So a couple of things that you'll be able to expect from this course. It's going to be mainly the fundamentals of marketing and generating leads, which is the marketing manager's position, how to pre-qualify leads to make sure you aren't wasting your time, which is the lead manager's position, how to become and what to expect from a good acquisitions manager, which is pretty much, we're going to teach you how to be beasts on the phone and get these contracts locked in. And then we're also going to give you strategies on how to disposition your deals and how to, you know, build out your, and certain things you can do to build out your cash buyers database. We're going to give you the fundamentals. We're going to give you all the meat and potatoes. And we trust that this course is going to be great for people just starting. So like that, they don't waste a year or two of their life like I did, running from wall to wall until finally understanding the structure of the business to make it an actual business, as opposed to running around here like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to do one deal here, trying to do another deal there, actually having it organized and systematized. So on our next module, we're going to discuss marketing management and generating leads. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to be open to any questions, and I will do my absolute best to answer them to the best of my ability. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead. I saw Esteban, I see you came a little later. You didn't miss much. It was pretty much the fundamentals and the business structure, how it looks and what positions it takes to actually build a scalable wholesale business. So when you guys are ready, feel free.
You said in the beginning, right? You said something about, you know, if it doesn't fit your flipping criteria. So what if like you're not flipping to have a criteria to begin with? Like, what if this is like what you're starting off with?
Well, I would argue to always look at it with different exit strategies, right? Maybe you think you don't have the capacity to flip the property, but knowing someone in the investment world, if it's a smoking hot deal, it might benefit you more to joint venture on a flip than it would be to make quick money. So I'm going to give you a really good example because I kind of thought the same thing when I started. My very first deal was a home here in PA in Wilson. And, you know, I was telling everybody about wholesaling. I was so excited. I was trying to find a deal from anywhere. I was telling all my friends, I was saying, bro, like if we find a good enough deal, we can make upwards of like 20, 30, $40,000. We'll split it, just try to find a deal. I was talking to everybody about it because I was really excited. I was at the bar one day and my friend Corey, really good guy, he's a vet from the military, served in Afghanistan. So I'm sitting there, I'm drinking with him, I'm telling him like, bro, this is a whole business and, it's amazing. Some of the, money you can make. We just need to find a property that needs a little bit of fixing so we can wholesale it. So Corey turns around and Corey tells me, he goes, my dad actually has a property that needs a lot of work. And, I can talk to him and maybe we could start with my dad's house. So I'm like, all right, perfect. Boom. I only knew one cash buyer. So I'm hitting up the cash buyer. I give him the address and I'm like, hey, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to take a look at the property and, we're going to make something work. The cash buyer, he's a flipper. And he says, yeah, go ahead. I really want it. Try to get it as cheap as possible. I'll pay you. So I go into the property. I take a look at the condition. It needs a lot of work. At that time, I didn't know how to run numbers on what the property was worth after repairs. It's not that I didn't know how to, I didn't know how to do it properly. So I'm reworking the numbers. The property, my number initially was $180,000. I didn't know what it took to, do the repairs. So I had to highball it. So I was like, all right, it's going to take 60 grand to fix this. It's worth 180. You have closing costs and holding costs. So I think we can make 10 grand on this. I think we'll be good. So I'm going to lock in the contract. To make a long story short, it took me like 2 or 3 months of following up with Corey's dad. Corey's dad, I finally sit with him. I tell him exactly what I want to do. I tell him my intentions. I'm telling him about wholesaling and how I want to wholesale his property because I'm so excited about it. So Corey's dad, he's like, you know what? I rock with him. I'm going to allow him to do this with my property. So we agree to a $60,000 purchase price. I'm thinking it's worth 180, right? So do the math. I'm like $60,000 purchase price and he's $60,000 worth of work. That's 120. You have holding costs and closing costs. That's like 140. So, if it's worth 180, I could at least make $10,000. And then my cash buyer, after he flips it, he can make his little $30,000. So I lock it in for $60,000. I take it to the cash buyer. I'm like, I did it. I locked it in. If you want to buy the contract from me, all I'm asking is 10 grand and, it's all yours. The cash buyer, he says, good job. Now, let me ask you, I'm going to give you an option. I can give you this $10,000 on the day of closing. I'll give you cash. You don't got to worry about nothing. You don't got to do nothing. Or me and you can JV on the flip and we'll split it 50-50. Now, mind you, at that time, I'm 100% broke. I'm like, I got $3,000 worth of credit card debt. I just quit my job. I'm still doing Uber. Give me the $10,000. I'm good. I don't want a JV. I'm thinking the most I have to wait is 6 months for the rehab. And then, we'll be splitting 40. In my head, I'm like, we'll be splitting 40. So it'll be like 20 and 20. So nah, just give me the 10 and I'm out to the next deal. So when it was all said and done, maybe like 3 or 4 months later, he finishes the rehab. It looks beautiful. Granite countertops. I made my first $10,000. Actually gave half of that to Corey for bringing me the deal. And then I kept the other half and I kept it pushing. But like 4 or 5 months later, I see this dude finishes it and it's on the market. And when I look at the price on the market, I'm like, what? On the market, the property sold for $235,000. This dude bought the contract from me. He paid 60 for the contract, another 10,000, so that's 70,000. Plus he put about 60 into the rehab. So he was all in 130, right? This dude put it on the market and sold it for 235. He made damn near $100,000. And I took a look at that and I was like, never again. If somebody offers me to JV, I'm gonna JV. So to go back and answer your question, I would argue that you should look at everything like a flip, because if the deal is sweet enough, you could always take it to a flipper and say, hey, I'm not looking to wholesale this one. Let's go half and half. And, at the end of the day, I split half and you split half, and we both get a good amount of money. So, and it also gives you the confidence enough to go in and say, yeah, if this is good enough, in the back of your head, these different investors that'll joint venture with you on a flip. So it's not like you're lying. It's just you should have more than one strategy to take down the deal and not only rely on just one. In the beginning, if you want to rely on just wholesaling, go ahead, you do that, but always keep in the back of your mind that you can always exit out of this property in other ways also. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. I had another question too, though. When you were breaking down the what you call it, like all of the teammates that would need to be on the team, and you said that in the beginning we would have to play every single role. But like, what if like you suck at one particular role? Like, then is it like you need to be like really skilled in every one? You feel me? You understand my
Yes.
question?
Yep, I understand clearly. And you will suck at specific roles, right? But the key to playing every role is knowing the system behind that role. So it's not that you have to be good at it and you have to kill it and in order to get contracts, but you need to know what goes behind that role systems wise, like processes, CRM, stuff like that, like website wise and customer relation tools, in order to know whether or not that person is doing their job correctly, so that you're not getting screwed with somebody who is telling you they're doing something, but they're not doing it correctly. When building out the system, you want to have certain systems and processes and standard operating procedures that they can follow. And unfortunately, the only way to build those standard operating procedures is if you do it first and you know how it works. It doesn't mean you have to be really good at it, but you need to at least know how it works systems wise to make sure that your marketing manager or your lead manager or your acquisitions manager is actually doing their job. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my opinion. That's how I see it.
All right, one more question. I promise that's the last one.
No, go ahead. I'm glad you're asking questions.
How about like, what ways could you use to find like networking events? Like you said to like go to networking events, but like how would you find networking events to go to?
So a really, really good resource right now to go to networking events and to network with other real estate investors actually is meetup.com. And they do have an app. And the app is specifically for people who are into a certain thing, and then different groups that host different events around that one thing. So I guarantee you, if you download the Meetup app and you put your interest to be real estate, there's going to be a bunch of different events hosted all around your area. You're going to find events here in Berks. You're going to find events in Lancaster, events in Philly, events in Pottstown, just in your surrounding area. And if you wanted to, if you had the free time, you could go to every single one of those events and you can build out your network, going to all the events. And, I would argue that, down the line, you can even host your own event when you know enough folks and you can have people come into your event. So to answer your question, I would use meetup.com. There's also other resources like Facebook events and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's it.
Cool. Anybody else? Guys, we are at the top of the hour. This one was quick and easy. And my intention for this one was to pretty much show you guys how the business is structured and tell you about the assembly line. And then moving forward, we'll have classes dedicated to each one of those positions that'll probably run a little longer than this one. I want to thank you guys for coming. So next week, I'll send you guys an invite and we'll dig right into marketing management and generating leads. So thank you everybody for coming. I appreciate you guys and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.